20 minutes problem solving show ready with all these educators. Check them out right here. All these educators. Right now, I'm outnumbered in Texas. I got the New England area up there against Texas, but you know what? We're all stronger together. Josh Stowat, proud principal of Memorial Pathway Academy in Garland ISD, Garland, USA, ready to rock and roll with this 20-minute problem-solving show. So if you are in Alaska or you are in Hawaii or if you're in Maine or in Florida or anywhere in the 48 middle, we need you. What would you do with this scenario? What do you think about that, Dean?
Well, I don't even know the scenario yet because you never disclose what it is ahead of time. You're like Fort Knox, for crying out loud. Hey, everybody, welcome to tonight's show. Office Hours, as Josh said, is all about getting a little bit better and connecting across the great nation that we have with other administrators doing the exact same thing that we do each and every day. So again, this isn't new to any of us, but it's great to explore and collaborate and put our minds together and see how we would all handle something. My name is Dean Packard, one of the co-founders of Unlock the Middle, and this is just something that we just love to do. And Josh, I tell you what, it's exciting as always. I haven't read this and I'm looking forward to it. Let's quickly go around the board really quick. Just your name and where you're from before we start, Josh. Okay, ready? Michael, start off.
Michael from Maine.
Michael from Maine. Maine's a big state. Where is that again in Maine?
So central Maine, Newport.
Newport, right in the middle of that big old state. Welcome to the platform, Michael. Drew.
Hi, I'm Drew Graber. I'm from Indiana, the corn state, the basketball state. So I'm an assistant principal at an elementary school in Indiana.
Outstanding. I love it. Larry Birdtown. Tara Ho was around there somewhere. I remember that guy a long time ago.
Somewhere.
Well before you were born. Freddie, welcome to the show.
All right. Thank you. Freddie Nunez from Jersey. Principal at Dover High School up in Dover, New Jersey.
Pretty simple, Josh. Take it away. Welcome, Freddie.
All right. Here we go. Get to know you, Freddie. You got to talk a bit louder there on the microphone right now, okay, Freddie? So here we go. Name one special gift that a student has given you, brother, that either you still hold or you remember very close to your heart. One.
Okay. I think it's the smallest little thing. It's a bat. It's a little bat that they made in a craft club that we had. And I found it on the door of my office. And I'm like, well, who brought it? For weeks, I couldn't figure out. Nobody wanted to tell me. All of a sudden, I get a knock on the door. And it was a student that I wasn't very familiar with, that that it wasn't that I interacted. I mean, I interacted with her, but not to the level that I thought that she thought enough to be able to give me a little something. And it just goes to show you that, you never know, who's looking, who's listening, who's you're really paying attention to what you're doing or what you're saying. But whatever it is that you're doing has great impact. And I'll never forget that because, again, it was completely anonymous and it took a while for her to have the courage to come up to me and say, listen, I'm the one who did this for you, but because, you really did something that, had an impact on me. To this day, it still blows my mind.
What's his first name? Shout out to him.
Her name was Maria.
Maria es todo. All right. Michael, one special something that you received that you either still have or you remember.
So, I'm a principal at a primary school. So K2, pre-K2. I would say that just every day I get just different letters from kids, different notes, different pictures. At the beginning of the school year, my office walls are completely blank. And then as the year goes on, they get filled up with kids' pictures. So it's every day. It's one of those things. I couldn't pinpoint just one specific thing, but the kids love to come in and see them. They're like, oh, I drew that picture, or, oh, who drew this one? So it creates a good environment for the kids to come in if they have to come see me for anything. I get the parents in there too. Same thing. They're looking around at all the different pictures. It's hard to make out what it is or what the kids are actually saying in the words, but it's nice to see.
Got it. Dean Packard.
Listen, I'm going to go with what Michael said. So many personal handwritten notes, misspelled words and things of that nature where I just laugh at the middle school level. I'm 5 to 8 where the kids are just coming into being their own people. But I got actually boxes filled with those. Those mean more to me than any type of gift cards or things of that nature, because you know what? Kids put time and effort into that. And that's something that sticks with me all the time.
Drew.
Yes. Well, a variety of different things over the years I've been able to keep. I would say more recently, being an assistant principal has been nice. It's been a little bit of a slower change being a principal, but one of the lovely things I've loved about this AP position is I actually get to go into classrooms and I get to work with kids who have reading difficulties. And that's what I miss most about the classroom is the teaching element. So I usually have a first grader or third grader once a week that I work with, but had a first grader here in the fall that I worked with and did some Morton Gillingham interventions with, and did a lot of blending, a lot of different drills that way. And we would use these little cars, and I had this dry erase that we would blend chunks of words together. And every day we would run a car to chunk the blends, and he really enjoyed it that much. And he actually started bringing in his own cars to do the blending on his own. And on one of our last sessions, 9 weeks in, he had grown so much. He had a monster truck that he was really into that he kept bringing in and loved. And in our last session together, as we're leaving, say, hey, bud, I'm not going to be working with you anymore. You're graduating out. You're where you need to be. And he left his monster truck on the desk. And I said, oh, you forgot your monster truck. But he goes, that's all right, Mr. Graber. For helping me learn how to read, you can keep my monster truck. So I have that monster truck. I don't have it with me here, but I'll share it with you guys message-wise tomorrow. It sits on my desk every day. It's just a reminder that kid by kid, skill by skill, we can still have that direct impact on kiddos. So
Love that.
Tag us, put it on Twitter. We'll retweet it.
We'll retweet that. We'll send that out. We'll blow that thing up. 100%.
All right, here we go. Michael, who currently motivates you? Why?
Are we looking for anybody like educate? So I would think I have to be honest with you, like this thing like this that we're doing right now motivates me. So like when Josh, when you reached out and said, hey, you want to come on the podcast? I was like, yeah, that kind of just fired me up a little bit. So things like that, just that networking that we're getting like through Twitter, seeing things that people are posting. Drew, I just saw one that you posted the other day. I think it was this morning. You were posting with your principal of the day, AP principal of the day, little girl you had with you. She had a little coffee walking around. So like those things like that, they are just seeing those things and like just picking those ideas off other people. That's kind of what fires me up right now. It's just this connection that I can build.
Love it. Drew, who just did his Twitter chat. Who's inspiring you, sir?
Oh man, I'm inspired by many. I stand on the shoulders of many giants. I'd say I have my best friend that I married. My wife is probably my biggest inspiration. She's was a classroom teacher, stayed home the last couple of years, but I think she's one of my biggest rocks and inspirations. But I would say just in this past year, really getting back into the assistant principal role, enjoying the leadership element of it has been inspiring. So I'll tag in to what Michael said. It's just been awesome to connect with people and kind of grow that network. I had learned somebody the other day had talked about, professional learning networks. And I think someone changed it to instead of the PLN, the PLF, the professional learning family. So I feel like I've really expanded that family out and got to know so many more people other than just in the Hoosier State. So
awesome. Freddie, New Jersey.
There you go. Who inspires me a lot of my students. Some of them, I've seen them overcome a lot of obstacles and odds to be able to get where they are. Not only being able to excel, academically, but even be there to support their families and things like that. I couldn't even fathom to do some of the things that they are doing when I was their age. So they really inspire me. And every day I look at them and I'm like, wow, they just amaze what I do. My own children for that too. It's like the talent that's the way I'm seeing them just grow, mature, and their talent's just coming out every day. Sometimes the days are down, I look and see what they're doing. My daughter can play 4 or 5 instruments, and I'm not musically inclined in any way at all. And I just look at her, I'm like, it's just amazing. It just floors me. And us, like the things that we do here, in this profession, you're gonna get your highs and your lows. And when you're in your lows, you always look for people to see what they're doing to kind of rise you up. And that comes from my PLN. So kudos to you guys and to everybody out there.
Dean Packard.
Right there. My daughter popped on, took time out of her busy day to say, "Go, Dad." She is about 100 times better than I could ever be. She's rocking it. I got another daughter who's a nurse. She's in commercial real estate. She kills it. I got a son who just graduated college. So they inspire me. But I don't want to leave somebody out, Josh. You know who else inspires me? My Texan friend right down there, who I used to think that I was on fire until I met you. And now I can't even keep up with you because I got so many irons in the fire. So, man, a lot of things are great in my world. And I know the people that I have to respect. And you're one of them, along with my family. So thank you so much.
Bro, I'll send you the $20 for over there.
Nah, man, no $20. It is what it is.
Here we go, real quick. KFC or Popeyes, Drew?
Ooh, definitely KFC. I mean, you got to go with the chicken, and the mashed potatoes are probably the best thing at KFC. But I throw it all together, with the corn. That's how we do it in Indiana. But definitely KFC. We don't have a lot of Popeyes here in Indiana. It's a little out of our comfort zone, I guess. I don't know.
Right.
KFC though, they're around like McDonald's. It's crazy. So,
Michael,
I'm gonna piggyback on what Drew said. I know of one Popeyes here in the state. It's in the big city of Portland, Maine. So KFCs are all around. So I'll go with KFC too.
Dean Packard,
KFC. I had it the other night. Good stuff.
Freddie Nunez.
I'm gonna have to go with Popeyes, Big P, Popeyes, and that classic chicken sandwich, brother.
And the right answer is Popeyes, Freddie. You know about food. These other guys don't know what's up. Here we go. Hey, out there in America, here goes the scenario. Tell me, what would you do as an administrator, while you're doing your classroom rounds, you get a text from the front office. You're told that they need you ASAP in the front with an irate parent who is using a lot of profanity. You leave the current classroom and walk fast to the office. As you get to the office, you see a student with his head tilted back, pinching his nose, and you see that he's bleeding. You hear a male voice screaming, "That's a bunch of S," insert your word. You walk in, and the dad is yelling about the teacher losing his son's new iPhone, and he has the receipt, and he wants the cell phone or his money. You know you've trained all the team members about turning in confiscated cell phones and remind everyone in emails about turning those items in. You call the second-year teacher, who you know has a very messy room, and confirms the cell was taken. What do you do, Drew?
Well, I think one of the biggest things is with an angry parent in the office. Oftentimes, when someone's upset, it's good to not completely match them where they're at, but to find ways to de-escalate them. If there's a student that is visible and present in that office that is bleeding and needing medical care, at that point, I'm going to share with the parent, "Hey, I understand you're here. You're really upset. I want to give you the time that you need to help you figure this out. But this child's more important to me right now, and I'm going to attend to this child's needs." Oftentimes, I think even with a flipped lid parent, they will know, like, "Hey, yeah, that we take care of that kid, then come back to me." But attending to that student who is bleeding, needing help has got to be the number one priority. But then also just communicating to that parent as well as, "Hey, this is important to me. I want to get to you, but this has to come first." So getting that child who's bleeding where he needs to go and cared for that way. The nice thing is when you do that and say you get that kid to the nurse, you buy yourself a little bit of time because you've already expressed to the parent, "Hey, I want to attend this. I want to help you out." But that might give you a little bit of time to get with that other teacher, get a little bit more information to then bring back with you when you come back to that irate parent who is demanding answers and demanding questions, which at that point, then you can sit down with that gentleman and talk about his concerns. You need to address, obviously, the language in the office and how that won't be tolerated. And it won't be tolerated here on out. And if it does get tolerated, then you got to know to say, "Hey, you know what? I think you need to come back tomorrow when you're cool and ready to talk." Because if he's still floored, no rational thinking or discussion is going to move on. So that's how I would address it in the meantime. But finding out that the phone has indeed been taken from the classroom, that's tough. It's a tough scenario. I might kick that off to somebody else.
Freddie?
So agreeing with Drew here. I definitely would tend to the need of that student first. I let the parent know, I'm here for you. Give me just a little bit of time so I can tend to this student, and I'll be right with you. Hopefully, not only does that allow him to kind of calm down a little bit, but I have addressed that I want to give him the attention that he deserves. What I would do if the teacher is in the office with me, I'd say, could you come with me for a minute and take the teacher with me? So as we're taking that kid to the nurse's office, I could probably get a little bit more information once I put that kid into the nurse's office, what exactly is going on. I also have, the ability to be able to take a look at cameras if that be the case, and see that there might be a time and a place where we can kind of frame it and be able to see if there's anything suspicious looking on a camera in that sense. At least to have that evidence for the parent to see and say, okay, we can take a look at certain things to see maybe we can see something, maybe we can't. However, I'd bring the parent into my office, and I would let them talk. Let them talk, let them vent, let them get it out, and let me listen to what their concern is, so that way, and me just taking notes, so that way they can get that out of their system. Because a lot of times it's just, they just want to let that out and be able to, that'll allow them to calm down a little bit, and then we can get into the, the specifics of what we can do.
Michael?
So I think it depends on kind of how irate the parent is. When you were reading the scenario, the way it sounded, they were pretty mad and they were causing quite the scene. With the way like school safety is nowadays, I would try to get that parent out of the office. Like they got to get out of that space. So I don't know if I would even feel comfortable putting them into my office about just trying to get them outside the school. And then like talking to them on the way out and saying, well, when you're ready to talk, we can talk about this. But this is not a safe place right now for our students because of the way that they're acting. And I would just kind of pull it back to that school safety piece. And funny that you picked this scenario, because when I was a teacher, as my second or third year teaching, I had a third grade student who had his cell phone out at lunch. And they weren't supposed to have cell phones out. So I took it, I'll take it for now. I'll give you back at the end of the day. Dropped it off in the office. So you'll pick it up there. Both of us forgot about it. Went home over the weekend. Dad came in Monday morning demanding the cell phone. And it was the exact same language he was using right there in the main office. There was kids all around. And he actually made threats towards me about if I actually touched the phone again. And then law enforcement had to get involved because of making threats on school grounds, stuff like that there. But I was just in that moment there. I remember just thinking back to that, and it was where the kids right there being present and witnessing it. It was just it was a bad scene. So I would just any way to get that parent de-escalated, like Drew said and like Freddie said, but just get them out of that space.
Dean Packard?
One of the reasons why we do this is because we just saw 3 different lenses to a problem from administrative mindsets. Think about how each one of you attack that. Okay. At the end of the day, we're in triage mode. We have to figure out what's the most important thing at the time, because the number one thing in our schools is maintaining the safety. You're absolutely correct, Michael. I love that you said that. Drew, your points, Freddie, your points are all spot on. You all did what you had to do to make the situation become better. But again, we're in a business of kids. Obviously, you swing quickly to make sure that child's okay. If that child's walking towards the nurse, guess what? You go. We're going to catch up with you. There's no doubt about it. You got enough people there. But that one parent can escalate and become a major problem for a lot of people. And I love that you picked up on that, Michael. Any way you can get them either into your office or her into your office, out of sight of everybody else, out of that place. And Drew, to your points, and Freddie, talk them people down. Listen to them. All they want to do is be heard. There's no doubt about that. At the end of the day, you're not going to come to a general understanding until they release that energy that they have built up inside. And that's what we do as administrators and teachers all the time. That's a skill set that you get over time being in those types of situations. So then going back to the staff, guess what? The protocol's got to be fair, consistent, and transparent, and do the same thing for everybody. And we won't get ourselves into these types of problems. And that's one of the things that we have to do and we have to look at when we're dealing with human beings. So again, keep it simple, silly. As I always say, the kiss syndrome, okay? Keep it simple, okay? And that way there we can stay out in front of it. Josh, to you.
The only thing I would do is at that moment, bringing in the kid, I will remove the clerk because she already took up enough abuse from that knucklehead. Get her out of there. I would say take him to the nurse's office. Remove anybody else that has already been verbally abused by his mouth and take him into my office. Because if you're going to yell at somebody, I'm the one that gets paid for that. Not the clerk. Not a kid should not be seeing that. You know what? We chose leadership, and this is the bad side of it. So I would remove her. She took enough of the abuse. Any other kid should not be seeing that. And then that gentleman, it's not a testosterone thing. It's a, you know what? I need to calm you down, brother, before you and I could talk. And that's my story. What do you think about that, Dean?
I'll tell you what, everybody had their little angle there. And I love that you said that. Take away the people who don't deserve it. And you want to talk to the Marine down there in the bottom, ex-Marine down there, go ahead, have at it. But that Marine's got a soft heart and is going to listen to individuals, because you wouldn't be in the people business if you didn't have that. Okay. But you know what's right. And great answers by all of you guys. Unbelievable. Great stuff.
And that's the game, and that's the time. Office hours are now closed. And we want to thank all our administrators from different parts of the United States. Thank you. What would you do? Put it in the comment section. Like it and share it. And you know what, Dean? We're not done. Dean, we're not done. Sunday, the flagship show has another awesome guest from the podcast Outliners in Education. Mr. Eric Bowles will be joining us. So join us 7 p.m. Eastern, the flagship show. And that concludes Office Hours.
Hey, on behalf of Michael, Freddie, Drew, and Josh, and me, listen, we want to say thank you very much for being with us. Remember, kids deserve the best version of us. Have a great week, everybody. Keep doing what you're doing, because you do make a difference.